Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Ravens Meltdown. No, just kidding. This is 410 Sports Talk. You guys know us by now. But these post-game shows are, especially when we lose, it's usually after an absolute meltdown by the Baltimore Ravens, a series of stubbing their toes over and over and over again until they finally find a way to lose and just give the game to the other team. So that's what we're here to talk about. The Baltimore Ravens obviously lose. Not a great one for anyone on the team. Final score 24-20. The New York Football Giants come out like David and Goliath and take down the Ravens. A lot of things to talk about in this game, Glenn. I'll give you the floor to kick it off. Where you want to start?
Yeah, well, obviously disappointing. Kind of a lot of missed opportunities in this game. Throughout the game, early, late, some bad decisions in this game that ultimately cost this team the win in a game that looked like they had control of it for the vast majority of it until that fourth quarter. Dominated them as far as total yards, but ultimately, the Giants come away with the win. It's disappointing. I mean, when you got let's just get into some of these numbers. So, as you mentioned, 24-20, Ravens lose to the Giants. However, the Ravens outgained the Giants 406 yards to 238. Average 7 yards per play to 3.8 yards per play. So nearly double them up.
Team, I don't understand this, Glenn. Oh, sorry, but this is just ridiculous.
Well, one way is turnovers. They lose the turnover battle 2-1. And penalties also another frustrating part of the day for, I think, everybody. Let's see. The Giants get 2 first downs out of penalties to the Ravens 0. They get 4 false starts, 2 from Moses, 2 from who were the other 2 from? I think they were spread out, but
and then if I'm not mistaken, aside from the false starts, there were also 2 additional pre-snap penalties, right?
Oh,
there was the illegal formation. There was 2 illegal formations.
Oh, here we go. 10 penalties, 74 yards compared to 3 penalties for 25 yards. So, yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating.
Wow.
This is a game you got to win,
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And we got a lot of people to point fingers at, and we will certainly do so. But Sean Pisker kicks it off here, and this is probably where we'll start. Y'all, yep. I love Lamar a lot, and he always win us more games than be the reason they lose. But today I'm putting almost all of it on Lamar. Throw the ball out of bounds. That play was ridiculous. So that play specifically, I agree 100%. We talked about this right before we went off air. Lamar's, I mean, it's like he had he forgot he was not in Pompano Beach playing high school football anymore. This is the NFL. Like, you take that loss, it is what it is. You got to take that one. You didn't catch the snap. You got to throw it out of bounds and live to play another down, because that is never going to work. Well, that's 999,000 times out of however many never going to work. It was just a terrible play, a terrible decision. There's no way around it. It was an absolute backbreaker. I mean, just a terrible, terrible, terrible decision. Because once again, obviously outside of the field position, we've talked about momentum seemingly a lot this year. And there's a difference between punting it and potentially getting, them in a tough position, and then defense going out there trying to get a stop, in comparison to putting their backs up against the wall with the Giants headed in for the go-ahead touchdown. I mean, it was just number 8. Do you have some stats on Lamar, Glenn? I don't have them in front of me. If you want to,
I just want to. So, for the game, Lamar goes 17 of 32 for 210 yards with a touchdown and 1 interception, was sacked twice, and then on the ground goes 7 for 77. But on that drive, because you're right, I mean, the Giants cut it to 3. The Ravens have an opportunity to really seal the game away. They're up 20-17. If they go down and have another long drive, even with a field goal, makes things real difficult. Touchdown probably ends the game right there. But and it starts off so well. I mean, he goes and he throws a 9-yard pass to Josh Oliver on first down. So it's 2nd and 1. And then Kenyon Drake picks it up on the next play. But then on the final, so they get a first down right off break on second. Then the next series, they go 5 yards off the right tackle. Lamar Jackson runs it. Then a short pass to Tylan Wallace sets up 3rd and 1. They get it on the QB sneak, but illegal formation takes that back and forces them to instead try again on 3rd and 5. And you mentioned the poor decision to try and pick it up and throw it, but also the drop snap. I mean, the snap I was
Yep.
expecting to be like way over his head, not the case. I think a lot of times when you make spectacular plays, you can sometimes think that, you get a little overconfident in situations thinking you can always make that spectacular play. And sometimes you just got to take the loss for what it is and punt the ball away and not compound a bad play and turn it into an even worse play and give them great field position. Yeah, not Lamar's best game. And last week wasn't either. Not playing his best football overall right now for sure.
Yeah, definitely trending in the wrong direction. I mean, those statistics you read off are very Daniel Jones-esque, right? I mean, that he went to MetLife and it was like Freaky Friday. They just like switched bodies. I don't know what happened there, right? I mean, it was just I mean, obviously he had some great runs and he flashed and things like that, but decision making is everything in those big moments. I want to and this is the thing that I struggle with is because I swear to you, like outside of Ravens flock, all I do is defend Lamar Jackson, and all I do is, talk to a Kansas City fan, I talk to a Chargers fan, I talk to a Bills fan, I talk to a whoever, right? And it's always, oh well, Lamar doesn't have this, Lamar doesn't do that, Lamar can't do this, Lamar can't do that, and I hate when people are proven right. When most of the time, if you turn on the television, Lamar's proving people wrong, but what they'll see tomorrow is the moments that proves them right, and they will hold on to that. Now I got to argue with people that have some ammo, right?
Well, at least in the short term, yeah.
Like, gosh, dang it! It's just a really frustrating one here. Man, that was hard for me to root for. I mean, obviously, I'm going to root for him, but it was difficult to say, well, you tried hard. It's like.
Well, it'll make defending him around the water cooler tomorrow for certain people a little bit more difficult in the office. Certainly, if there's a Giants fan around, that'll make it even more tough. But I want to. Okay, let's talk about this comment here. Ravens O's Nation. Time to stop pretending this team is not that good. We still haven't won back-to-back games. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. No consistency. Yeah, certainly not consistent at all from a win-loss standpoint. I think that there's some things you can come out of this game and think, wow, I like the way certain things are trending. But when you turn the ball over too much and you have a bunch of drive-killing penalties or drive-extending penalties like we saw on defense, Odafe Owe is one that pops to mind where he's holding the opponent's helmet in the air like some sort of like he's on the battlefield holding up an opponent's helmet. Like, I don't get that. And then you throw it on the ground and you get a silly penalty in a bad time. It's crazy. So
embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, this team's just not playing disciplined and like Ravens O's Nation said, not playing consistent. But one player who had a hell of a game, and I think when you talk about what can you kind of come out of this game feeling good about, one spot I'm feeling pretty good, Kenyon Drake. I mean, where did this come from? 10 carries, 119 yards. I counted at least 3 explosive plays in this game from him alone, including the 30-yarder and the long touchdown. But, I mean, where did this come from? And at the same time, they limit Saquon Barkley, 22 carries, only 83 yards. His long on the day was just 8 yards, Jimbo.
Yeah.
So, if you're kind of looking for the silver lining or the bright side, I think big steps in the right direction from the run defense and from the run offense of the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, all those things are true. I agree with you 100%. It's funny because I wanted to talk about positive things, but you went there a lot faster than me. I wasn't quite ready yet, but I totally get it and appreciate it. It's
trying not to be too negative.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, bully for you, Glenn. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that was yeah. I mean, the run game. I think the reason that Drake played well today, I mean, obviously he's a capable guy and he's had success around the league, but I thought he did a good job at just simply letting the plays come to him, letting the blocks develop for him and being decisive. I mean, he saw what he saw and he stuck to it. I don't think he tried to do anything extra. And I think look, if you have talent, if you have speed, if you're able to, if you have the level of capability that he has, and Roman has some decent guys to work with in front of him, at the very least, he's going to get some semblance of a run game going, right?
Yeah.
So,
Explosiveness though that we hadn't seen from Kenyon
big
Drake.
time. And I mean,
Shocking.
can we before Marco G, we're gonna get to your comment, but I mean, I didn't see JK in a single snap in the second half.
I'd love to know what John says about that in
Yeah, it
his
looks like
post
DK is
game.
going to give us some news. So when DK, if you got any
Okay.
news, put it up. But I did tweet at. I tried to get Zrebeck to give us some insider information. He said he saw him on the sideline, helmet on and everything. No trainers around him, but just kind of hard to tell what was going
If he's
on.
got his helmet, that usually means he's not hurt. That's the first sign of you're not going back in the game. They hide your helmet from you.
Yeah. So
So
let's go Marco G here, because Marco, so he says equal blame to go around, but we had a chance to win with 140 with a minute 43 and 3 timeouts. His bad throws and poor decision making is increasing. Zero excuses for him. So interesting, Marco, because I think you said like equal blame to go around, and I don't think the blame is equal because the credit isn't equal, so you can't give equal blame. Like that's just
fair.
my opinion.
That's
Like
fair.
Lamar, everyone says the same thing, right? Like Lamar doesn't have weapons. Lamar has a bad offense coordinator. Lamar's being held back by the Ravens. This, that, and the other. Like, if all those things are true, and you know, and he's still finding ways to win in a game like this, he needs to do the same. And so it's never gonna be. You play the position, you're a lightning rod, right? So
Everybody, not just Lamar from that, in
right,
that regard.
100%. Certainly, he is probably the lightning rod of lightning rods in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, because he's
Yeah.
non-traditional in his play, and then
But
who knows how
quarterbacks always
to
get too much credit and too much blame.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But I think there's a couple and places we'll go that immediately I think of blame, and you already kind of talked about it. But the defense, I think in one drive gave up 3, what did they say? Gave up 3 third downs that were over 10 yards. That was like 11, 12, and 14 or something like that. So
Yep.
I know we'll get to the defense as well. But yeah, so let me ask you this really quick, Glenn, before we move off Lamar. Do you have any concern about the trend in his decision making, the trends in his decision making, or do you consider this like a blip?
Well, not. I don't know if blip's the right word. I also don't think I'm necessarily like worried, but I do think that he's got to start protecting the ball better, because not just was the interception a poor decision,
Mhm.
but on the strip sack at the
Yeah.
end by Thibodeau, he's holding the ball with one hand, no ball security there. Got to have 2 hands on the football to eliminate that opportunity for the defender. It's just, you got to secure the ball better. And and it's not even just that though. I mean, it's also look at the first 2 drives of the game, Jimbo. If you just look at the first 2 drives, they got into field goal
He took the
position on
sack.
both of them. Yeah, you take a penalty on first down. Pat Ricard, that's the other guy, picked up 2 false starts. Pat
Yep.
Ricard, what are you doing picking up false starts? 2 of them. I mean, it's
Mhm.
unacceptable, because you're 2nd and 2, and then Pat Ricard gets a false start and makes you 2nd and 7. And then, it just, you can't have that kind of stuff. And then Lamar Jackson, yeah, they're at the 36-yard line. He takes a 6-yard sack that leads to a punt. Then they get back in field goal range again. They get to the 32-yard line. And then we have another false start from Pat Ricard that pushes them back. Dobbins gets stuffed for a loss on 2nd and 15. Incomplete pass on 3rd down. And they try the 56-yarder that hits the upright from Justin Tucker. And so while we come to expect Justin to make every field goal that's 50 plus, I'm not going to blame him for dinging the uprights on a 56-yarder, because he should have never been kicking from 56. And I think we can all agree, if he was at 55 or 54 yards, or 50 yards where he should have been at the start of this this possession or this series, then it would have been in, because it wouldn't have had the opportunity to veer left enough. So
100%.
blame is all around on offense, no doubt.
Yeah, 100%. And Damon Mitchum mentioned the penalties. You alluded to the same thing. We killed ourselves here. 100%. I mean, that's going to be a conversation that will be had internally. And I coming out of this game, obviously Morgan Moses got injured, but I'll also be interested to see how they play that with McCary. I felt like doing a decent job coming in, and I don't know how I'd have to go back and look, but I felt like they were getting some more pressure consistently when Morgan was out there in passing moments. But I felt like the run game improved with McCary in there. So that was just my first, obviously, watching the game live.
When did he go down? If anyone in chat remembers like around when he went down, that would be nice. If you could.
And Jimmy Benjamin mentioned something here. This team has 0 discipline, and it's interesting, Glenn, because this is uncharacteristic of the Baltimore Ravens, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
Historically, since John's been here, right? Uh,
no doubt.
so yeah, it is. I mean, it's hard to argue against you, Jimmy, because I mean the proof is in the pudding. The stats were just brutal. But DK has some news on JK real quick. If you want to throw that up there, DK. I think this is important to talk about. Our according to Jonas Schaefer, the Ravens running back J.K. Dobbins' knee tightened up per John Harbaugh. That explains his quiet second half. That's really unfortunate. And, obviously, if you guys don't know, J.K. did more than tear a single ligament. He tore all of his ligaments, and I think also his hamstring, right? Yeah, completely off. So certainly he's still got a ways back, and we'll hope for the very best for, J.K. Dobbins. But, unfortunate for him because we know he's been pushing really hard to get out there.
But good to see Drake running the way he is, just in case. But what the flock says, Lamar wants a big contract. He loses a ball in his range. It kills me because we're 100 times better than this team. All day stupid plays. Come on, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Ravens certainly have the better team, but they weren't the better team today. It's frustrating. You look at the defense, too. I mean, we've been talking a lot of offense, but Jimbo, I look at what the defense was able to do in the first half. They stopped the Giants go punt, touchdown, punt, fumble in the first half. So one successful drive and then a bunch of punts and a fumble. But in the second half, they go punt, field goal, touchdown, and then end of game where they could have easily walked in for another touchdown, but Saquon chose to fall down. So another second half where the defense is just not nearly as good and effective as they were in the first half. And the same can be said for the offense. I mean, the offense in the first half, they're moving the ball every drive, even drives where they come up with no points. They're still moving the ball on every single drive.
Very few 3 and outs. I mean, did they have a 3 and out? I'm sure there was one or two.
They had one right before half. Remember where they got the ball late right before half and ended up punting on that one. But that was the only 3 and out all day was that one. It's frustrating. What the flock says, and that PI against Peters, ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I think he was grabbing him. He was, but I wish he wouldn't because I thought that Daniel Jones was in so much trouble, man.
He was going to make that play anyway.
Yeah.
And the only thing that this will always frustrate me about that is that watch the guy on his release.
Yeah.
Right. Just the only difference is that Peters happened to hang on a little longer, but they were both, he had Peters right here.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
He did, but it's still, I didn't have the work. I just wish he was picking that dude.
Right.
I
mean, by the book, that's a call, right?
Yeah.
And the back judge made a good call. It's just frustrating that it's never going to be consistent, and the hand battling is just an inconsistent equation.
So tough to play DB.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's a harder position in sports than cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah, the rules alone, the guys you're playing against, and the inconsistent judging of the hand battling, if you will, the physicality according to each group you're working with from a referee standpoint, is just. The target is always moving. So Sean Pisker says, you know what gets me? This team should be 6-0. The fact that we are 3-3 is completely unacceptable. I mean, I'll agree with you. We had every opportunity to be 6-0, and every team, I feel like, a fan base will always say this. We shoot ourselves in the foot all the time. And like Bill Belichick, I know you're not this biggest fan, but he always talks about not beating yourself. Right? Yeah. Like he just
take points.
Right. Just beat the Browns today, who the Browns have no business losing to the freaking Patriots, dude.
Yeah, you can talk about the poor quarterback play from Cleveland, but they got Zappy as their quarterback out there making plays.
I mean, so with that being said, I understand your point, Sean, completely in that there seems to be a reoccurring theme here. And something I wanted to address, I want to ask you this, Glenn, before I forget, because the last super chat kind of alluded to it. Any thoughts about Lamar and the pressure getting to him in a contract year?
I don't think when he's out there, that's even in his mind. I just think that he's just not playing his best right now. That's all it is. I mean, there was a play earlier in the game where, he always seemingly makes the right call when doing the reading if he's going to pull it or if he's going to hand it off to the running back. Saw a play earlier where it looked like if he hands it, Kenyon Drake
when the
has a
two guys
wide
collapsed,
open
right?
left
Is that what you're
side.
talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Lamar had nowhere to go. I'm not really sure what the
I think
thought
that was because it
process
was a third down. He didn't want to give that ball up. I think that was a third
could
down.
have been.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah,
he already
but
predetermined the decision.
it's frustrating. But I mean, look, here's another thing that drives you crazy. The Baltimore Ravens go 8.8 yards per rush today, Jimbo.
Yeah.
And the Giants go 2.7.
I mean, there's not the statistical reason why, other than the score
And
and the
the
turnovers,
turnovers
like
and
you
the
said,
penalties.
and the
Yeah.
penalties, why they should have won this game. I mean, we dominated in so much of it. Ethan VPG says missed field goal huge. Hot Rod is on the market.
Hot Rod. That's the kicker from that got cut by Indy. Rodriguez.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah.
With the
Yeah,
goggles.
you're funny. I mean, come on. That's
Yeah.
you've got to be. I hope.
Yeah, I'm pretty
that
sure he's
there's
joking,
some
but
sarcasm there. If not,
yeah, let's get him out of here. Tariq says Josh Oliver development, wow, and Boyle, what? Yeah, I tell you, we saw why Josh Oliver was the active
Yep.
tight end over Boyle this game. I
Yep.
mean, made a spectacular catch, almost made a second one, but definitely showed his athleticism, showed his ability. I mean, all the tight ends I thought played well. Andrews had the big touchdown catch where he goes
Well,
up
we
and
don't
over
even
the
have
top.
wide receivers anymore at this point,
I
right?
thought
Like,
we had one.
yeah. Well, I don't know if Rashad was
Jimbo.
getting the ball. I
I
don't know
thought we
if
had a
Rashad,
true number one out there
why
in
not give him?
Duvernay.
No, you tell me one good pass he got in that game, and tell me that's on Duvernay. Honestly,
I'm
tell
just
me
saying.
give me one opportunity in which he had to make a play on the ball. The jet sweeps. Did he get any? Did he get any carries? Did he get any good passes his way?
Well, he had one catch.
DK said he got one. Okay, one.
He had one catch for 14 yards.
Hey,
And
that's not bad. Maybe keep giving him the ball if he's going to get 14 yards every time. That might be a good idea, Lamar.
He did have 5 targets. But to
Yeah,
Tariq's
5
point,
targets. They were like, come on, man. Those even count as targets if they're not in a zip code?
the one was disappointing. He had the drag route in the end zone where it looked like he had, I think it was Bradbury, or it was I think it was Dory Jackson. He had him beat.
Dove, is that what you're talking about? Or
Yeah, and it was overthrown. No, the one where he dove. I think it was.
And then
just
the other one
overthrown.
that was 8 feet over his head.
Yeah, that didn't have a ton, but the question that you have to wonder, Jimbo, is if he getting the proper amount of separation that gives Lamar Jackson confidence to get the ball to him, because on a lot of his big plays this year, I think we can all agree have been where he's going up and over somebody and not necessarily having a big cushion between him and the defender. So that might be causing some issues as well. Michael Orr, Marcus Orr, yeah. Yeah, but sometimes you got to get a little more. You got to get a little more open.
You're right. You're right.
You know, it's kind of a team effort there. Yeah, we're both right there, Marcus. To
be honest, though, I think it's fair to say you just gotta you got to leave it up to your guy. Have some confidence.
Yeah, but sometimes when he does that, it does go sideways and ends up going the other way. So there is that concern.
Or you could pick it up from a fumble and just chuck it to the other team. It might be a better idea. I don't know. All right, let's get to James Lee Wiley here. Appreciate it, Marcus Orr. If you have a comment, put in your regular comment. We appreciate you putting in a super chat, but I know sometimes people put it in wrong. And so if you have a comment you want to add to that, please feel free. Oh, we already did this one, DK. Bro.
Rookie move.
Rookie mistake, DK. There we go. Wait. Okay.
Appreciate it, James.
Yeah, appreciate it, James. Oh, here we go. On the bright side, no one had a long-term injury. Fair. Well, we don't know what really happened to Dobbins, though. I mean,
that's true. But the good thing is, with that stadium, that's the worst field in sports, I think, at this point.
It's an embarrassment.
And so the fact that I did see some concerning slips out there, but it seemed like everyone was able to escape. I was worried about Morgan Moses, the way everybody was kind of shielding the camera's view of him.
Yeah.
But to see him up and standing on the sideline, looking like he wanted to get back in the game, it's encouraging moving forward.
Yep.
No doubt about it. JL says 40 and 15, 2 and 10. I'll let y'all figure out that stat. 2 and 10 in our last 12. Does
this have to do with John's record?
Well, we lost 6 in a row to end last year. What are we? Oh, we're 3 and 3. So we've won at least 3. So I'm not sure what the 2 and 10 is. Why you got to give us a riddle, JL?
No,
you can't just tell us. I mean, I got to try and decipher it. James Lee says Lamar always get too excited and try too hard. Well, I do think sometimes when you make spectacular plays, you can
It's
end up,
intoxicating.
yeah, because you think I can always make that
Yep.
play, and sometimes it goes sideways. Shout out to Amanda in the chat. What's up, Mike? It's been a while. We got to link up, no doubt about it. Let's
Certainly
see.
intoxicating though. It's a blessing and a curse all the time.
Was Lamar sitting by himself today? Did anybody notice this? I didn't notice it. I can't imagine.
I mean, when the camera was on him, I didn't see anyone next to him, but also it doesn't mean no. You know what I mean? It was just it was a single
Tight
shot.
frame.
Yeah,
I
tight
hope
frame,
so. I
yeah.
can't imagine his teammates who absolutely love him not picking him up when he's
Yeah.
having a down game. Marcus says 8.8 yards
Oh,
per carry, I think is what he meant there. And we throw the ball 3 plays in the red zone, along with possibly Lamar's worst game of his career. This season hurts. This season does hurt because not a lot of time trailing in this season to be 3-3. I think they went into the game trailing only a total of 11 minutes. Yeah, that's been a tough season, man. Been a lot of near losses, I guess I'd
yeah.
say.
I got to point this one out because I would not do this and give a troll some love, but Bengals babe, you were in our comments here. You're going to sweep us a week ago. Now you're like, really? Really? We just put you in your place in prime time. Like, stay there until we play you again. Like, you just said we were going to get swept. So, no air in your sails. All right, Lamar is overthrowing wide open receivers. One of the things that we've talked about for the past few weeks is kind of the back foot stuff. I don't like the fading back stuff. I don't. It seems like it's interesting because Lamar comes in every year with new abilities, but then with those come other potential bad habits. Because I could be wrong, but I feel like this year it seems to be happening where this is the best I've seen Lamar throw the football this year, like overall. But like I think that this is also the most amount of back foot fading back throwing I've seen, unless I'm wrong. But I feel like that is also kind of coming with it. And it's a little bit of a concern. Because I think a lot of that has to do with the overthrowing,
Well,
the
it makes you
inaccurate
wonder
throws and things.
where's the lack of trust in your O-line coming from?
Right.
Is what it looks like when they've been playing well, so
And
far this year.
And some of it is that he's holding. I also think he's holding onto the football longer than normal in the backfield, to where normally he's already moving forward.
Well, you got to make a decision more quickly. If you're sitting back there, just overthinking things, then you can end up being in trouble. Did we mention Spencer saying how Lamar's overthrowing a lot of his targets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
well, so that's what I was alluding to, Spencer,
Okay.
is that like I feel like a lot of that is happening just because the footwork seems to be off because he's in the backfield a lot. He's fading away a lot. Like, it's a concern.
That was on the Duvernay. He was kind of fading away and almost looked like bracing for a hit. Josh Hunter says, how many runs did we call in the red zone? Feel like we had opportunities when Drake was averaging like 10 a carry and we kept trying tight end passes. Penalties were backbreaking as well. Absolutely. It's head scratching. I mean, you average 8 yards a carry and you lose. And it's not like this is one of those situations where Lamar cracked off like an 80-yarder. So it brings up it was consistent chunk plays by him and Kenyon Drake. It is head scratching to make you, say, why are they getting away from it when it seems like it's kind of working to perfection? Now, there were some negative plays, certainly early on in the run game, but overall, fantastic day on the ground. Yeah, I don't know, Josh. It's a head scratch. I mean, obviously they're thinking they're going to sell out for the run and we're going to try and play action off of it and get guys wide open, but it just didn't work today.
Yeah, and in this scenario, it could have been a lot of you talked about overthinking, but certainly going against your former colleague in Wink Martindale doesn't help your cause when you're trying not to overthink, right?
Yeah.
I almost feel like this definitely didn't happen, but I almost feel like in this chess match, Martindale lets Roman gets his masterful drive in early and his long extended, goes to touchdown. Let's him get in a little bit, kind of laying back in the lurch because he knows like he's going to make some adjustments later on, but he wanted to see a little bit of his cards. Say, okay, still same old Greg. All right. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I
second half adjustments have always been good.
I've been struggling. So, let's see. Marcus Orr, LOL, y'all are awesome for finding my comment, even though I didn't send it right. Yeah, dude, no problem, man. We try our best, and certainly if we miss any of you guys,
Well,
put a super
DK, give
chat.
shout out to DK because
Yeah,
he's
for sure.
spearheading that one, no
Dude,
doubt about it.
sniper shots. Really quickly. Well, let's get to this, and I have another question. JL says, that's with and without Lamar, my brother. Okay. I mean,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
yeah. That's fair.
Well,
Like,
today was with him, so
right. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you want to be the guy and you want to be paid like the guy, like outside of the fact, if he's not Lamar Jackson, Glenn, right? If we're removing the names from the situation, if we knew a quarterback bet on himself, put everything on the line, he wants to be paid. He wants to be the highest paid. He wants all the guaranteed money, this, that, and the other. You got to show out. This is your moment. Every single game is highest leverage as it can be because you've decided to put yourself in this situation. No one else, you have.
well, I mean, him and through negotiations with the team, but yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't like the Ravens were gonna, give him a ridiculously low offer.
Doesn't sound like it, all the
Right.
reports coming out, but we, at the same point, we're not in the room. We don't know what's being called. But one thing I think is interesting when you look at this, the Ravens had the lead for most part of the game. I think we all agree there.
Yeah.
And the Ravens had the more successful running game between the two teams. I think we can all agree with that there. And when I look at the stats at the end, the Ravens threw it 32 times and ran it 24. The Giants threw it 27 and ran it 31. So that's head scratching. Why is it that the Ravens are running it way, way less than throwing it? And I got to imagine some of those runs that are, great, ended up being a run by Lamar Jackson were originally called a pass as well. So I think we could at least probably extend that to, I'd say 33, 34 passes to 23 or 22 runs. And that you're talking a 10 gap difference. And then the Giants, who weren't having as much success, who didn't have the lead for the majority of the game, run the ball 4 more times than they do throw it. And so that's head scratching. And then Daniel Jones to outdo. I think if I told you before the game that Kenyon Drake would far outperform Saquon Barkley, you would think we have a pretty damn good shot because you wouldn't imagine that Daniel Jones would outduel Lamar Jackson, but he did today. 19 of 27, 173 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, he protected the ball. He took what the defense gave him. And Lamar Jackson did not protect the ball and seemed to try and force some things. And, yeah, that's the story of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Did anyone else – so this is Ben Yarling said, did anyone else feel like the broadcast seemed to intentionally not replay or even discuss the way unsportsmanlike? Yeah, certainly that was intentional. Like you said, Glenn, I think there was a reason for that. I can't blame the refs because of Lamar's turnovers, but it saved a Giants drive.
Yeah, well, that was a silly play by Oweh.
Yeah.
It was dumb. I mean, he's holding the helmet in the air like, oh, and then he throws it on the ground and nudges it with his feet, like knocks it out of his way and walks away. Why are you doing that on 3rd down when you had the stop? The stop was done. And then you give him a first down.
This is so like, I mean, this is the one thing that I'll never understand about situations like that is you get in a scuffle. The next play, you have an absolute license to maul the guy that you just got in a scuffle with. Like, why do you need to do it outside the bounds of the rule? You already have the rules in your favor to physically impose your will on somebody.
And I have that, by the way, I have that drive. That was a 3rd and 5 that happened there. When that play happened, they stopped him, would have forced a punt, but instead they give up the first down. And then Saquon, has a nice run. They end up ultimately kicking a 34-yard field goal. And, that could have, that's just one instance. That's how this game comes down to just a few plays, it seems like.
And I got to say something. I understand that there's a lot of people that love Lamar Jackson unconditionally, similar to the way that they love their Lord and Savior for some reason, which I think is interesting. But the dude had 2 turnovers. He lost the turnover battle. His interception was terrible. The fumble was unexcusable. Period. End of story. Like, say whatever you want about everything else. He caused 2 turnovers. How many times out of 10 in games will you lose the turnover battle and win? Not very many. So it is what it is at the end of the day. Everybody can make up excuses for Lamar Jackson. He turned over the ball twice. Period. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you got to take care of the football. It's job number one. End of story. So, like, there's really, to me, no excuses. Now, you can go back and get better from it, but there's no excuses to make up for what he did, right? Like, it is what it is. I'm not saying that I'm off the Lamar train or anything like that. Like, the dude's an incredible football player, but
Just a
he's
bad
also,
game.
yeah, he's not above reproach.
Yeah, it was a
You know,
bad
it's just
game.
that simple. Yeah, 100%.
What the Flock says, another 10 or lead gone. I think 10-point lead gone. We need to focus more on the run. It
You
seems
said it,
Lamar
Glenn.
gets too focused on passing, wide open lanes, and either sacks are incomplete. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you gotta. That's the head scratching part. You know, you go into this game and you think, wow, if we can run the game, if we can run the ball. I mean, if this team can run the ball to this level, you think they have. I mean, they have everything at their disposal. You know,
Right.
it opens up the play action game. We know how deadly it can be. They have the most successful run game that I can remember in quite some time, certainly from a running back, and they end up with just 20 points and a loss at the end of it. It's so frustrating. It's just makes you crazy. But
And going against a team that's not, I mean, even though they've done it systemically speaking, they're not really built to come from behind. It's not like they have an explosive passing game and, you know, I mean, this quarterback can whip it down the field.
I didn't think
right?
they could when you get a 10-point lead come
That's
from
what I'm
behind.
saying.
Yeah.
I mean, and they did it last week and this week.
Yeah.
So shout out to them for believing and never giving up, man. Wink's got a lot of
Wink will
juice in
do
that
that.
defense. Right. He's got a lot of juice in that defense. And Dable seems to, you know, be really pushing these guys. Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, it just is what.
They won a tough game today, a game they probably should have lost to New Orleans, but
Yeah, wasn't Taysom Hill the quarterback though?
nah, Andy Dalton.
Oh, Andy Dalton. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not better.
Yeah.
But I do want to let's just get into this, but I want to circle back and talk about Travis Jones for a second on that bull rush.
Yes, there's a positive.
Is that Iberarama? Iberarama? Let me preface, I love you too, but you homers won't love this. Just fire Harbs. It's time. They don't play for him. Fire Roman too. F it. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Fire everybody. No, I'm not ready to go. I'm not ready to fire everybody yet. That's for sure. Yeah. You still gotta replace them, by the way, when you fire them.
Yeah,
that could be a problem.
Can we talk about are you like how have you felt so far about I keep wanting to say his last name, McDonald. How have you felt about him so far?
Well, I feel
like there's a bit of a learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think there's been big strides. I mean, you can't blame him for Oweh holding a helmet in the air. You can't.
Yeah, no.
When you look at what he's done first to the Bengals last week, holding down that high-powered offense. Look what that offense did this week against the New Orleans Saints. I think he did a fantastic job. This week he comes into a game going up against the leading yards from scrimmage player in the league in Saquon Barkley. He holds him to 3 catches for 12 yards, so relatively non-factor there. And then 22 carries, only 83 yards. I think fantastic job. Took their best player and pretty much made him an average player at most. And so yeah, I gotta give that the defense some credit. Yeah. I think they had some tough penalties. Certainly the Marcus Peters PI, the Oweh personal foul you can't have. They had some issues, but overall the defense I thought had a pretty decent game. It's just the turnovers killed the offense.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think it is what it is there. All right, DK, what else?
D-line dominated, though. Travis Jones, shout out. That bull rush to open the game.
Walked him back.
I was like, damn. I mean, I would like to see more after that. I did see another play where he jumped out, but.
That was Feliciano, right? He ended up going out later. By the way, are we all going to ignore the fact that the dude had a brown stain between his butt cheeks, came back in the game, and it was gone?
Did he? I didn't know. I didn't know.
Review the tape.
Okay.
The only thing it was right at the injury when he he limped off, he faked an injury. I swear, dude, he had to squirts, bro.
He dude.
Dude. Unless it was the football, he's the center, right? So I don't know, maybe some dye off the football kit, but dude, it was apparent. And then he comes back out and he's down at the top pile. I'm like, bro, got a brand new pair of pants on,
you
man.
Imagine? Oh. In the middle of a game, just imagine being near him, like being
being Daniel
player.
Jones.
Yeah.
going under center like that, dude.
Like, dude, my hand's wet.
It's already a
Josh
hot fire. It's already a hot fire in there.
Oh, my hands are wet, bro. Josh Hunter says, I trust Lamar to bounce back. He was just pressing late. I do wish we had a true number one to pair with Andrews. Ball will come out quicker. Well, I think the Ravens believe they have that in Bateman if he's on the field. I think his ability to get off the line of scrimmage against press coverage and his route running, makes him the ideal player to combat some of this press tight coverage. And when they don't have him on the field, it's obvious they miss him. There's no doubt about it. I want to open this question up when we talk next Tuesday, but I'm going to start proposing the question of Hamilton versus Hollywood. I know that Linderbaum was the pick actually used from the trade, but it's no doubt that we could consider that they would have maybe traded back
just to
and taken Linderbaum anyway. So I'm going to pop that one open on Tuesday. I'm not going to get way down here, but
dude, did you see him get left?
Who's that?
Hamilton.
Well, I didn't notice which play.
I don't remember. It was
I know I saw him back at free safety on some plays, which was surprising to see.
Yeah, but he got left pretty bad. I think it was on third down conversion. It was pretty rough. Anyway, a trade for a wide receiver as Anderson. I'm sure you're speaking of Robbie Anderson seems vital. Tariq, I think that's all that's fine and well, but you got to hit the guys in the number. You said it. Duvernay had 5 targets. How many of those were catchable balls?
Yeah, I mean, at the same point, we until the film comes out, we don't really. It's hard to know what the receivers look like on the broadcast view if they were getting open, if they were creating separation. We can't constantly ask Lamar to try and fit it into the tightest of windows, but that is what you'd think you could expect from a franchise quarterback on top of that. So it's a relationship, but both guys got to do their job. No doubt about it. Marcus Orr says $5 for Jimbo holding Lamar accountable. Yeah, and it's not easy around here because
no one takes joy in it.
No, because then you get called, you get labeled a hater. And when, like Jimmy said, that most of our time is spent defending Lamar Jackson against fans outside of Baltimore. So it just makes it hard when he doesn't play well. Like today, but
I appreciate it though, Marcus.
Marcus Orr says in $5 because Glenn has an amazing voice for broadcast.
It's all the microphone. It's all the microphone.
It is. It is. I actually sound like Mike Tyson. I talk to you in person. It's no good. But yeah, I mean, it's been a disappointing when Ethan says, why does the Giants running back make the smart play to go down at the second to win the game, but our quarterback makes a dumb play to lose the game? I tell you what, I would have scored if I was Barkley. I mean,
because.
I mean, then you're up by 11 with a minute left. I mean, you're not going to lose that game.
He probably saw that Nick Chubb different scenario. I mean, the Browns are eternally cursed, but
it's the factory of sadness.
He probably saw that and was just like, yeah, I'm going to go down. But I mean, look, that's the difference between winning and losing in the NFL, right?
There's always like a handful of moments that you point to that go, that's the reason.
Yep.
The game was over and or the game was won or lost. And yeah, that those two plays were pretty. I don't think the Saquon going down at the 2 impacted the win. The win or loss column.
No, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that plays where you make right decisions, plays where you don't.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's just a tough one. Blood on his pants from Jones. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, that's a good point because it was the back of Jones's hand, which would have been right between.
Well, this is just getting weirder.
Was cut open.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's a good point. King Tay says no wide receivers is our biggest problem over everything.
I hate this.
I thought we had a number one in Duvernay, Jimbo.
No, I hate this so much. I'm sorry, King. Like, I hate this so very much because everyone said the same thing in 2019. King, tell me one wide receiver that Lamar Jackson had outside of Marquise Brown 2019. Marquise Brown, excuse me. Name me one.
I mean, we could name them, but they're not good.
But I want to know if the ordinary person can, right? They were not good. They were a collection of role players at best, right? And Lamar Jackson led the league in passing touchdowns. Like, how can you point to that as the only thing? And then you compare him to all these other players. A lot of these other players, when you say, Mahomes has this guy, all these things. Okay, Glenn, who is a stalwart wide receiver that Patrick Mahomes has right now? Stalwart, Tyreek Hill level.
He doesn't have one now.
He doesn't have one, right? He has Travis Kelce. We have Mark Andrews. And what does Mahomes do? He makes these guys look better than they are.
Yeah, and
Right?
for the
Like,
most part this year, I think Lamar has done much of the same.
I
But
agree. I
in
don't
this
disagree.
game,
But pointing this out and saying, oh, well, if we just had better receivers, then Lamar wouldn't overthrow him by 8 yards. How does that work?
yeah,
No, you said it. It's a relationship,
no
right?
doubt.
It
No
has to
doubt.
be. It's not a one-way street here. I can't say this is why we lost because we don't have good enough receivers. I can't allow myself to do that.
But
Because
I
what if
do
we had
agree
no
that when
penalties?
yeah, no doubt. The penalties, yeah, that
What if
killed
Always
multiple
didn't
drives.
decide to pick up the guy's helmet like he was rushing
Like he's in
his
Braveheart.
yeah, exactly, right?
It's like,
Freedom! Like, what was he
yeah,
doing? You know what I mean? It's just
it's
like
yeah.
there's so many things.
On to the Browns. Yeah. And the Browns need a win too, man. They're
Great, great.
desperate.
That's what we want.
They are desperate to keep the ship afloat in hopes that, by the way, oh, I'm so glad you brought the Browns. Just like I said when we talked to Steve White's, Jimbo, what happens if another girl comes out talking about this serial pervert and another one has come
Yep,
out against Deshaun Watson in
yep.
the same scenario, another masseuse who was apparently allegedly coerced into doing sexual acts while giving a massage. And so what are they going to do now? They've already disciplined him, Jimbo.
Right.
So now what are they going to do? I just couldn't believe that popped up because remember I brought that up to Steve White and he said, "Oh well, they can't really plan for that." Well, they probably should have
Yeah,
because I could see that coming a mile away. You know.
yeah. Well, you know, a good bully for the Browns for factor of sadness and the moral compass for all of us, right? We'd be in a world of trouble if they were our moral leaders. Could you imagine?
Yeah, no, it's just unbelievable, dude. I just
Yeah.
can't believe and it's so. Massage therapist, if you see that is your client, run head for the hills. Run. Do not put yourself in that scenario, please. But I guess they could be under aliases. I mean, I don't know how this works, with NFL quarterbacks.
I don't either. I don't know.
It's
But
crazy.
yeah, so Glenn, do we want to get to our competition winners? We're gonna save it till Tuesday. I don't mind saving it till Tuesday.
We can
Unless you want to do it now.
No, we can save it till Tuesday. That's
Cool.
fine.
Well, so let's just
That way we
quickly
announce
hear.
us and the
Okay, cool.
show winner or the fan
So
winner.
let's just quickly here kind of recap things. Like you said, we got Cleveland next week.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be prepping for that this week. On Tuesday, we're gonna be breaking down this game even more, but also turning the page. Like, let's get some Listerine in the mouth, wash it out.
And also, look, there's some bright things when
That's what
you
I was
look
gonna
at it
say.
when you look at it like a lot of this was self-inflicted wounds. So if you
And-
clean up that stuff, it looks like they could turn things around.
And that's the hope. That's also part of the reason why I think sometimes, at least I know for myself personally, why I come on here and say, like, there are moments when you knew you give everything you could and the team just beat you. Right. And that's almost less frustrating than when it still hurts, but when you beat yourself
Yeah.
is when it's just exhausting and super frustrating. And that's exactly what the Ravens have done this year with the fourth quarter breakdowns, the penalties, the undisciplined play. And so, like you said, there were certainly positives that I think what we'll do on Tuesday is maybe we'll focus on some things we think they can clean up. But I think for the most part, we're going to be talking about the positives and what they can take away from this game in a good way to move forward, right? Like guys are holding themselves accountable. We expect them to do the same, and then move forward and be better from it.
That's all you can do. That's all the Ravens. I expect the Ravens to do. But you got to win this game coming up.
Yep.
Another division matchup. Right now, the Ravens are undefeated in their division, so they got to keep that going. Those
because then we're right back in the driver's seat.
Yep, they matter more than any other game. And you got to beat the Browns next week. You got to look past this one, and let's hope that some of these guys who have already returned to practice will make another step towards getting back on the field, get some help back for these guys. Maybe Bateman's back next week. Who knows what's going on with these pass rushers?
Gus.
Gus is coming back any moment. Justice Hill already came back to practice, and now you look at the emergence of Kenyon Drake. I think there's some reasons to be excited about this team, but that's a tough
at the end of the day,
today.
I guess the way I would summarize this, Glenn, is saying that if Lamar Jackson is my biggest concern moving forward as far as how he'll play moving forward, I'm not very concerned.
Yeah.
Because Lamar Jackson historically has shown that he's much better than he is bad.
No
right?
doubt.
Like on more instances than not, he's really, really good. So no excuses. He needs to look himself in the mirror and get better. But at the end of the day, we know he's going to come out and do so.
No doubt. Absolutely. That's the expectation. Shout out to everybody who jumped in here in the chat with us. Appreciate you joining us after a tough one. Hope this was some maybe some
Good therapy.
make you get over the tough loss. But we'll be back soon on Tuesday. Don't miss us live at 8 p.m. once again.
Gaga!